Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. I post new videos every day. Cutting to the first scene. Ben is falling, voicing over, saying that when you were born, you had a heartbeat, but never paid it any mind. Now that time is slowing down, it is the only thing you should have listened to when you had the chance. 3 months ago, Ben started questioning the script. Why it was written that a woman got choked by a baby rattle toy. Comforting him, Oliver tells him that rehearsal is a process, convincing him that on opening night he is going to kill. In the present day, KT jokingly says that Ben died the second time, asking her why the people are striking on their set. He calls Donna and Cliff, both of which leave him on voicemail, leaving him with the feeling that they are pulling the plug on his play. Wrestling to get the doll back, he tells her that he will never give up, because he will get his stage back. Mabel watches the show Girl Cop, which Ben played in, remembering the day when Ben fell from the elevator. They went to get Lester, but Mabel turned back, taking photos of his body. Imagining Ben alive, she admits she had a crush on him in middle school. She never finished college. She is 30 and has nothing figured out. She needs a job and to probably find somewhere to live, because her aunt is selling the place and evicting her. The only thing on her mind is solving his case. Comforting her, he tells her to take her time, just not to waste it. She jokes about not talking to a dead person since Tim Kono. They do the Girl Cop handshake. Opening the opening night gift from Ben, he receives the same handkerchief as everyone else. Oliver interrupts to ask for a tie, assuming that he wasn't planning on going to the funeral, because they didn't have a good working relationship. He gave an alibi to numerous people. Oliver hopes Donna and Cliff are coming to the funeral. That way he can persuade them to not cancel his show because it must go on. Mabel comes by to ask for her to accompany them to the funeral. To that they agree, hoping she would have asked. Charles questions why, asking if she is still crushing on him. But the real answer is that she is sleuthing around for more answers. Arriving at the church, they look around for the ceremony. Checking their names, he welcomes them to the ceremony. But it is a ceremony showing a television display of the real ceremony. Pleading to be at the real one above, the receptionist tells him he was placed in overflow 3 for a reason. Mabel decides to leave to look around. He has to get up to the room with the real funeral. He asks Charles to create a distraction and draw attention to himself. Deciding against it, they sit still. Greg, a former security guard for Ben, talks about the crazy fangirls, death threats, and hate. He knows Mabel from the True Crime podcast. He can pick out the dangerous people in the crowd. He is investigating and invites Mabel to look at the case file and bring the old guys, moving the sit behind the actors. They watch the funeral from a screen. A ringtone distracts the crowd, finding out it was Oliver and he got through. Mabel wants to leave to investigate the case and Charles agrees to help. Entering his apartment, they look through the treasure trove of his Ben memorabilia, even with the stuff from Girl Cop and other miscellaneous things, even Ben's pants. He introduces them to a dog named Ben. Curious Charles begins to doubt that Greg is trustworthy. They look at the photos, realizing they are all photoshopped. Charles runs to get his shoes and finds Mabel knocked out. Running back, Greg knocks him out too. Going upstairs, Oliver runs into Maxine, a critic and reviewer of Death Rattle the play, insisting that she show Donna and Cliff her thoughts. He wants her to go back upstairs, saying that in show business, they don't review opening nights because the lead actor died on opening night. Believing it is a joke, Maxine tries to leave. Oliver stops her to beg for a chance. They are taking down his sets. Feeling guilty, she sits down to talk with him. Apologizing, she doesn't believe her review will change their thoughts on the play. She says that the review was going to be horrible. Even the performance was horrible, saying that he has given a better performance of laying in the coffin than on stage. She liked his previous works because he always wrote what he felt. This time she was slightly scared but mostly bored, advising Oliver to not hold back on his writing because he is a great writer. Remembering months ago, when he told Ben to be himself, they were talking about the piece where he talks about the heartbeat. He has begun to hate his voice. He is scared that he can never be himself, inadequate for what he is, but not what he isn't, fearing that he needs a ridiculous premise to become better, telling him it is fine to be himself, saying that he is scared too, but exhilarated for what they could be. Redoing the voiceover, Oliver stumbles around, struggling to get up. He remembers his heartbeat. Waking up, Mabel and Charles are locked in a basement, handcuffed to each other. swearing at the world. She questions what Greg has planned for them. The reasonable hypothesis is that because he killed Ben, there is a high chance they know too much. They are going to be next. They found the killer, jokingly saying it usually takes them 8 episodes. She wanted to solve Ben's case because she had a crush on him, but it was also because after her father passed, her mother would never leave the bedroom for 6 months. She ate a bunch of scrambled eggs alone, and watched a bunch of Girl Cop. She would wish that he would pull up and they would take her away from that scary, lonely place. After the voice acting about the heartbeat piece, Charles was overhearing, complimenting Ben for the voiceover. He mocks Charles. Confused about why he is always mean, Ben tells him to remember Brazos. He was an actor in the show, and he had done his first table read. Charles went over to the director and told him he was a phony. He got fired as an 8-year-old. He was a kid supporting his mom and brother. He could get Charles fired, but he won't. Charles could have made it right on opening night, but he didn't. Greg returns with a cart full of surgical tools. He stole a blowtorch from work, saying that he lied about being a security guard for Ben. Greg knows that Charles killed Ben. Waving a flame in his face, he tells him to confess, shoving a cloth in Mabel's mouth. He tries to make Charles confess, but the police come down and arrest Greg. Detective Biswas said that they were tracking him for the last 48 hours. Checking in on Oliver, the doctor tells him he had a minor heart attack. His blood pressure is 160/100. He is going to prescribe him some medication, but he needs to start changing his diet. He gives him a beeper on his chest. Whenever there is an irregular heartbeat, he presses the button so they can track how many he has. He needs to reduce stress, which means he might not be able to continue the play. Mabel believes Greg didn't murder Ben. He kidnapped them to find the killer. He wanted to find the killer so bad he committed multiple felonies. Questioning who handkerchief was Ben holding, if Greg had his one, thinking that he grabbed it just before he fell. They decide to continue the case. Oliver decides to continue the play, and Donna and Cliff decide to listen to him. But Mabel and Charles believe the murderer is someone in the case, so the podcast is back on. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and watch the next video. I know you will like it very much, yes.